There is something sacred about the choices we make in silence, those unseen, often uncelebrated moments where we decide how we show up in the world. Small decisions that change everything is a heartfelt reminder that it is not the dramatic life events that truly shape us, but the subtle, consistent choices we make each day, often without fanfare, but always with lasting impact. The book whispers what we so often forget in the noise of modern life, that we are always one small decision away from a completely different life. From the very beginning, the author draws us into a world where change doesn't require grand gestures or overnight transformations. It begins instead with an awakening, the moment we realize that the power to redirect our life has been within us all along, resting quietly in our ability to choose. The premise is simple yet profound. Life-altering shifts come from the tiniest moments. Choosing to show up when it would be easier to stay hidden. Choosing. The book doesn't just offer concepts, it tells stories. Real, raw, human stories. We meet Olivia, a woman in her mid-30s who had drifted through life on autopilot, feeling numb and disconnected. She didn't hate her job, but she didn't love it either. She had friends, but no deep connection. Each day felt like a copy of the one before. Until one afternoon, sitting alone in a cafe, she made the quiet decision to spend 5 minutes a day journaling, not to impress, not to fix anything, but just to listen to herself. That simple habit opened the floodgates. She began to notice how often she dismissed her own needs. She began to say no. She started taking walks instead of watching television. She joined a book club. And slowly, she reawakened to her own life. No single act looked like a breakthrough from the outside, but each small decision built the foundation for a fuller, more conscious existence. This is the heart of the book, awareness. Small decisions are not always visible, but they are always powerful. The moment you choose to drink water instead of reaching for sugar. The second you decide to pause before reacting in anger. The hour you set aside to sit with your thoughts instead of avoiding them. Each of these moments becomes a seed. And what you plant in your moments, you will one day harvest in your life. One of the most powerful concepts explored is the idea of decision momentum. The author explains that the more often we make aligned, intentional choices, the more naturally those choices become. Just as muscles strengthen with repetition, our willpower and clarity grow each time we honor our inner voice. The key isn't to overhaul everything overnight, it's to find one thing you can do differently today, and do it. Maybe it's waking up 10 minutes earlier to breathe. Maybe it's reaching out to someone you love. Maybe it's choosing honesty in a conversation where you usually hide. The book also touches gently but firmly on the danger of postponing change. It tells the story of Marcus, a man who kept waiting for the right time to pursue his dreams. Year after year, he made excuses. Too busy, too risky, too late, until a health scare jolted him awake. He didn't suddenly move to another country or quit everything. Instead, he made a small decision to spend 15 minutes each evening working on the craft he had abandoned, woodworking. What started as therapy became a passion, then a side business, and eventually a new path. The lesson isn't about changing careers, it's about changing direction. And direction is always a choice. What's beautiful about the storytelling is how the characters don't become perfect, they become real. Their journeys are filled with resistance, with self-doubt, with detours. But they keep choosing, again and again. And this is perhaps the most encouraging insight: we don't have to get it right every time. We only have to stay awake. We only have to return to our values, to our center, to what truly matters. Growth is not a straight line. It is a spiral, a dance, a deepening. And each small decision is an invitation to rise just a little higher. Another central theme is emotional ownership. So often, we give our power away to circumstances, to the past, to people who hurt us. But this book calls us back to personal responsibility, not in a harsh, blame-filled way, but with compassion. It's not your fault that pain happened, but it is your choice how you carry it now. Choosing to heal, to grow, to seek help, these are small decisions with enormous weight. The author writes that healing doesn't begin when you feel ready. Healing begins when you decide you deserve peace. A particularly moving chapter centers on the idea of micro-courage, those tiny acts of bravery that don't look like much but change everything inside us. Like texting someone after a fight. Like saying, "I need help." Like showing up at the gym when you'd rather disappear. These are not glamorous acts. They won't get thousands of likes. But they are heroic. Because each one says, I will not abandon myself. In one emotional story, we meet Anna, a widow in her 60s, who had built a life around grief. She didn't realize how much she had shrunk her world until she found herself declining yet another invitation to a neighbor's dinner party. But that night, she made a different choice. She said yes. That simple act opened a door. Over time, Anna rejoined life, not in denial of her loss, but in honor of her capacity to keep living. The decision to engage, to connect, to say yes to life again, it's not loud, but it is sacred. What makes the book truly transformational is how it shows us that the most important person we must lead is ourselves. Every small decision, what we consume, how we speak, what we believe, how we spend our attention, is a message to our inner world. Either we are building trust with ourselves, or we are eroding it. And self-trust, the author says, is the bedrock of a meaningful life. Because when you trust yourself, you don't need to be fearless. You just need to know you'll keep showing up, even when it's hard. One of the most subtle yet profound messages is about alignment. So many people live lives that look successful on the outside but feel empty within. The book urges us to make small decisions that bring our outer world into harmony with our inner truth. This might mean less people-pleasing and more boundary setting. Less chasing, more creating. Less distraction, more presence. These choices won't always be easy, but they will always be worth it. The final chapters of the book gently bring us to the present, to this moment, right now, where the next decision awaits. Not a dramatic, sweeping life change. Just the next small, honest choice. Do you breathe deeply or stay tense? Do you speak kindly or stay silent? Do you begin something that matters or wait another day? Small decisions that change everything doesn't promise quick fixes. What it offers is far more precious, a return to the sacredness of your own agency. A reawakening to the truth that your life is not a series of accidents, but a mosaic of choices. And that within every quiet moment lies the potential for a turning point. So wherever you are in your journey, whether you feel lost or hopeful, stuck or expanding, know this: you are not powerless. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are simply standing at the edge of your next decision. And if you choose even one thing today that honors your growth, your peace, your truth, then you are already changing everything. Because in the end, life is not made up of the big things. It's made up of a million small moments. And when you choose them wisely, lovingly, and consistently, they become the foundation of a life you never dreamed was possible, but always deserved.